Howdy, howdy, howdy. My name's Sanachi Sasuke, and this is basically a very weird microphone test because I got some noise canceling foam pad things for my microphone, and I was told by TikTok, of all things, to put it inside of a storage cube and also put a blanket over my head. And since I record with my laptop, I had to also put the laptop into the blanket, and I'm not sure if any of this is actually working, but I figure since it's Star Wars Day, I'd make a video of it, and for the sake of simplicity, I went to the TVTropes Nightmare Fuel page for Star Wars, and I'm just going to go look at the Nightmare Fuel for the book of Boba Fett. So this might actually end up being a really short video, but I don't want to spoil anything recent for anybody, or myself, because I've basically just seen the Star Wars movies, and that's about it. But I know there's a lot of people who don't even want to watch the Book of Boba Fett, and it came out like a year and a half ago, so how much does it have? Probably not that much. Shut up, TV tropes. Okay, open all the folders. Yeah, it's not that much. So, Chapter 1, Stranger in a Strange Land. We finally learn more about Boba Fett's escape from the Sarlacc after the events of Return of the Jedi, including his experience inside the Sarlacc's stomach. Not only is the stomach dark, disgusting, and claustrophobic, we get to see one of the Sarlacc's other victims in the form of a partially digested stormtrooper. Boba Fett's encounter with the Sand Beast, only known in the closed captions as the Behemoth. The creature itself looks scary. Imagine a reptilian centaur which can walk on two legs. It's not a centaur then, is it? But it also kills the Rhodian captive by snapping his neck and tries to do the same to Boba and the Tusken child. Chapter 2, The Tribes of Tatooine. Black Chrysanthemum? It's been a while since I've heard his name said out loud. I don't remember how it's said. Makes his official live-action appearance, and he's exactly as terrifying as you could imagine Chewbacca's evil counterpart being. His death glare is particularly intimidating. The Mushroom Samba quest for Boba Fett to find wood for his Gaddafi stick involves a small lizard burrowing into his nostril and, if what the Tusken chieftain says is true, hijacking Boba's brain to guide him to the tree. That in and of itself is an unpleasant ritual, but the visions that Boba sees while the lizard is in his head are a horrifying acid trip that barely makes sense in context. At one point, a tree in the middle of the desert wraps its branches around Boba and tries to suffocate him in the same manner as the Sarlacc when he was trying to escape. Chapter 3, The Streets of Mos Espa. Black Chewbacca attacks Boba out of nowhere, ambushing him while he's healing in his bacta tank. He then fights him, half a dozen cybernetically enhanced gang members, and 2 Gamorreans at once, and it still takes Fennec dropping him into the Rancor pit to stop him. He is bad news. To top it off, his body language, black pelt, and use of roars far more brutal than Chew's make him seem less like a Wookiee and more like a predator. It has to be emphasized how much damage he takes during this fight. He's repeatedly stabbed, shot, burned, and sliced up by Boba, the Mods, the Gamorreans, and Fennec during the fight. Even with the Gaddafi stick in his back, he still has enough strength to try and crush Boba to death with his bare arms. Cool, bare hands! Mere seconds after Boba stabs him in the back of the knee with his Gaddafi, Black Chewbacca charges the Gamorreans at full speed down a flight of stairs, and he gets back up first. Even after all that, when he's contained in the Rancor pit, he is still roaring at his captors in a clear, "Come down here and finish if you can" challenge. What in the name of the Force does it take to stop him? How come nobody just shot him in the face? Your pistols shoot lasers. What were y'all aiming for? You're not stormtroopers. You can make the shot. Chapter 4, The Gathering Storm. Boba and Fennec return to the Sarlacc pit to look for Boba's armor. They lower the ship over the pit to get a closer look, only to discover it's still alive. It grabs hold of the ship and tries to pull them in. Fennec tries to reach the controls for the seismic charges, but she's too short to reach. Unbuckling her seatbelt drops her onto the windshield directly over the Sarlacc's beak, which snaps up at her. There's also the fact that Boba, in a clear instance of honor before reason, actually dove back into the Sarlacc under the misguided notion that his armor was left behind there, adding further to his acid-burn scarring. Chrysanthemum once again reminds people of his terrifying nature by attacking the Trandoshans in the cantina, and then ripping a limb off from one unfortunate Trandoshan caught in his grip. While they do not have good relations with the Wookiees, they did nothing to provoke him beyond gambling in his presence. He simply attacks them because they're Trandoshans, and even if they didn't do anything to him personally, the fact that Garsa Fwip's promise of clearing his debts fails to stop the Wookiee bounty hunter from completing his rampage makes you realize you don't want to put him under a life debt. There's no telling what he would do to you if to get out of it. Chapter 5: Return of the Mandalorian. Din's fight with Kaba Bai's crew is technically the first time we see him bring a bounty in cold. While Din has been no stranger to killing or harming his bounties before, Kaba Bai's ends up stabbed and bisected with the Darksaber, with his head severed and then presented to the client, thankfully covered in cloth. Later scenes in the episode do suggest that Din's innate kindness, honor, and character development is intact, but the brutality of this particular assignment does help sell how Din is not in a good place emotionally and psychologically after parting with Grogu, who you may remember is Baby Yoda, do Baby Yoda. Adding to the above, Din accidentally injuring himself with the Darksaber. That painful burn on the leg forces him to limp all the way through the city before finding the other survivors of the Navarro covert. We see the first view of the Empire's purge of Mandalore. TIE bombers darken the skies, flattening every city, while KX series droids follow in the wake of the destruction, gunning down any survivors. The imagery of what's left from the event is haunting. The entire landscape of Mandalore looks like it's been hit by a goddamn nuke. Because it has been hit by goddamn nukes. Hundreds of them. Or I guess hundreds of them. By that bad select. The KX droids marching across the ravaged landscape as they hunt for survivors resembles the bad future scene out of the Terminator. It's even more striking because of how they contrast to the comically serious K2S0. So I guess the KX droids are the kind of droid from the Rogue One, which I've not seen. Chapter 6: From the Desert Comes a Stranger. Luke looks into Grogu's memories and treats the audience to the sight of Order 66 from Grogu's point of view. The poor kid has to watch helplessly as the clone troopers of the 501st Legion cut through the Jedi who are trying to protect him. The memory ends with the last of the Jedi falling and the lead trooper turning his attention to Grogu. Cad Bane is back, and he looks terrifying in live action, with visible sharp teeth, a pale skull-like face, expressionless red eyes, and the monotone voice of Corey Burton. This was the first time I had ever seen Cad Bane. I had heard the name, but I didn't really know anything about him until I saw this episode, and I was like, yo, he's awesome! The moment he walks in from the horizon, you can feel the dread from Cobb Vanth. The bounty hunter is also working for the Pikes, and he makes it clear that he will not hesitate to kill anyone who dares interfere with the Pikes. He's also very fast at drawing his weapon, coldly and efficiently gunning down Cobb Vanth and his deputy before they can retaliate. The bombing of Garsa Fwip's bar is terrifying for how abrupt it is. Two Pikes enter, sit down for a few minutes, rebuffing all attempts to speak to them, and then leave without their Camtono. When a droid finds the Camtono, Garsa gets a few seconds to react in horror before it explodes. The Pikes are pretty much the cartel of the galaxy. It was about this point that I realized that Tatooine is literally just planet Dune from Dune, and then I looked it up to confirm, and yeah, Tatooine is based off of Dune, which is all well and good, but then the whole season that was not about Mando was just, we gotta get the spice gives us the power, we're the cartel of the spice, and I'm like, are you fucking serious? You can't just go, hey, you know how Tatooine's based on Dune? What if we take Boba Fett, who's been dead for 30 years, and just stick him in the plot of Dune? Let's do that, that's fun. Yeah, so in the name of honor, the Pike Syndicate ace in the hole, the Scorponek droids. Big droidicas, but bigger. Much bigger. If they're anything like the ones from Legends, they're designed as anti-tank droids. Holy fuck, an anti-tank rifle! Capable of wiping out multiple ATTEs. The Rancor destroying two massive gun droids is awesome, but then Fett is taken out by Bane, and now the beast is very angry, on the loose in the town, and apparently immune to blaster fire. Thankfully, the Force Grogu was there, thank the Force Grogu was there to help calm it down. Fennec's decapitation strike is a pure mook horror show, and it shows that her reputation as a master assassin is nothing to sneeze at. You don't bring in Ming-Na if you don't want her to be a badass. She guns down the other boss who betrayed Boba, hangs Mok Shaiz from the rafters and breaks his neck, and finishes by shanking the Pike's leader in the back. The Pike leader doesn't even see her coming before he finds the blade in his back, and neither does the audience. The entire sequence comes off like a very well-planned mission in an Assassin's Creed or Hitman installment. No wasted moves whatsoever, to Fennec's credit. Because Ming-Na is that person. Everything Ming-Na is in is just so cool. So cool. I can never meet Ming-Na when in person because I would gush about how cool she is. Silence, TVTropes! I don't know how long this video is so far because I can't see the screen that tells me that because I'm under a blanket. I hope that's actually helping because I'm hunched. The base of my spine is like screaming at me. The microphone is just in a box in the shadows like, good, let the pain fill you. Oh, it's Legends. I was like, what are these? What are those? Is there anything else in here I can look at the Nightmare Fuel for that nobody would get mad at me? Or I wouldn't get mad at me? Because let's check the Phantom Menace, because I don't have a whole lot of memories of Phantom Menace, and I don't think any of them actually have anything to do with the movie. The movie! The sea monsters in the watery core of Naboo, especially the colossal Sando Aqua monster. Jeez. Darth Maul, especially on the Ultimate Edition CD cover. I used to have that. I was a lot more into Star Wars as a kid than I thought I was, and didn't realize it until I was midway through my 20s. After like half an hour talking about Star Wars, just went, wow, I care about this more than I thought I did. I guess we could look at the picture, though. Yeah. I'm kind of surprised he doesn't have fangs, if we're being honest. Get out of here. Okay, stop that. Thank you. Sweet dreams, everyone. It's the middle of the afternoon, though. We should be fine. Says the guy who read Carrie in the middle of the afternoon and then had nightmares anyway. Interestingly, Maul's film appearance was based on his second design, as the original design was deemed too frightening. George Lucas reportedly asked a concept artist to draw their worst nightmare. The artist showed him this. Okay, I guess I don't get to see what the artist showed him. At which point, Lucas shuddered and said, okay, draw your second worst nightmare, which is what became Maul. Maul's family unfriendly death. Seriously, that image of him falling down the reactor shaft. It is made even worse that, as revealed in the Clone Wars, he survives. Yeah, okay. Darth Sidious. Just his very presence is enough to give one the chills. In a stark contrast to his large ham performance in Revenge of the Sith and Return of the Jedi, Sidious is very serious and no-nonsense in this installment, giving the Trade Federation threatening messages and blunt orders to murder and mayhem upon Naboo. His hooded appearance makes it impossible to see the upper proportions of his head, giving the impression of an inhuman eyeless face. Not counting his public appearance or his one scene on Coruscant, Sidious only appears as a hologram for the entire movie, almost like a phantom. Rich brilliance. It becomes even more unnerving when one realizes that the cover identity of Sidious is the Senator of Naboo and the newly elected Supreme Chancellor Palpatine, putting the seemingly kind and noble politician's actions under a new dark light. Not like a black light, though. Nobody wants to see what he's been doing. Near the end of the movie, he's impressed by Anakin and seeks to watch closer after his achievements, eventually becoming friends. As we know, that won't end well. The battle droid regiment activating for the final battle. After the signal, there's a spooky, echoing 3-note tune, and then thousands of Scatterbot 9000 stand up as one, staring at the camera with their skull-like faces. Of course, being B1s, they don't last long. When the battle droids begin marching towards the Gungans, you realize exactly why professional armies run marching drills. All of those hundreds or even thousands of feet rising and meeting the ground in perfect unison gives you an idea of just how massive the Trade Federation's army is, even though Only a few of the droids are in view at the time, and it'd be downright frightening if you were standing on the other side of the field from them. Stamp, 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 stamp comes your doom. To quote General Tarpals, ouch time. Not to mention that the droids show no fear or hesitation, calmly marching to close the distance between them and the Gungan shield, even as their ranks are decimated by volleys of energy grenades, which take them out individually, and larger projectiles, which take out entire ranks of droids. Where organic troops might waver or seek cover, the droids simply close ranks and press the attack, allowing themselves to overwhelm the Gungans within minutes despite fierce resistance. From a YouTube comment about the droids engaging the Gungans. The prequels get a lot of shit, but people seem to forget how scary the droid army really was. Here's a force of identical, emotionless soldiers who probably outnumber you, likely by several times over, which does exactly two things. They march, they shoot, and they keep marching and shooting, no matter how many you take down. No matter if the soldier next to them gets messily blown up, they march and shoot until they, or you, are no more. Give them self-repair capability, and they're practically Necrons. If you've been watching my channel for the last month or so, you know about Necrons. You probably know about Necrons if you haven't been, because like I'm pretty sure Necrons are older than I am. The concept and the dudes. Digging into the fridge makes the battle droids more nightmarish in-universe. The novelization introduces Jar Jar with a chapter following him instead of Qui-Gon or Obi-Wan in proper English, thankfully. He's walking in the forest of Naboo contemplating his life, when he starts hearing noises unlike anything he's heard before. Suddenly, he's being shot at by what looks like a skeleton flying swiftly on a strange platform. The droids look markedly like Gungan skeletons of all things. When it said skeleton, I was about to point out the fact that, come to think of it, aren't they shaped like... Yep. Sidious's answer to Newt Gunray's request regarding the Gungan army amassing near the swamps. Wipe them out. All of them. I don't know if that's a good Sidious voice, I don't care, it's still fun to do it. Most Espa is not a friendly place in general, but the pod races are downright terrifying. The track sends racers through a series of tunnels shaped from jagged rocks, and racers are encouraged not just to outrun opponents, but to force them to crash in a fiery death. At least one of the racers is a child slave, who was made to participate by his owner, begging the question of just how many participants aren't racing of their own free will. Making things all the more creepy is the completely jovial crowd that's sitting in the stands, eager for the excitement of seeing their fellow citizens blown to bits. One at the credits that doubles as foreshadowing. They reach the end, all's well and good, but then... Oh, it's what? Darth Vader. Why is Vader breath happening? In part due to it happening at such a quiet and mundane moment and due to how unexpected it is. A fan took it a step further and replaced the Vader breath with a snippet of one of the pieces of dialogue that Maul has in Clone Wars, with an echo filter applied. Not only is it terrifying, but it also implies Maul survived, which, as it turns out, he did. Why is the Vader breath happening? Even before the Vader breath kicks in, the way Anakin's theme, which is the last piece of music to play over the credits, gradually morphs into a slowed down rendition of the Imperial March is highly disconcerting, especially since the change of music is done so slowly that you almost don't realize what the new tune is until the very end, when the most famous part of the leitmotif kicks in, and then you get the sound of the breathing. From bad to worse. Okay, so it's the credits, not the one at the credits. Okay, I was like, what are they talking about? And the tie-in game. I don't remember that. Captain Neg's monster, which has incredibly large and sharp teeth and claws, along with blank yellow eyes. Since it's fought as a boss, it also takes a while to defeat, and during this time can approach the player very quickly to attack. Jabba the Hutt's companion, a giant green muscular alien with piercing eyes and skulls attached to its belt, who carries a wooden stake. Like Neg's monster, it is fought as a boss who can approach the player quickly, and can also pull spikes from the wall and throw them, or yeet them, if you will. So, since this isn't supposed to be a whole real video, I'm probably going to stop here. There's some in general spooky stuff down here. But I don't know how much of the general spooky stuff is going to be spoilers. Like I said, the only reason I chose to read I chose the Book of Boba Fett because it sounds like a lot of people didn't even really want to watch that. And then I did Phantom Menace because, if you're alive, you've probably seen the Phantom Menace, or at least are aware of it. So, that's going to do it for whatever you want to call this. I don't feel like I should do my outro since, like I said at the beginning, it's basically a microphone test that I just decided to make topical by doing a Star Wars thing on Star Wars Day. So, may the 4th be with you, beware the revenge of the 5th, and I will see y'all in the next one. Later.